As soon as the workday is over, we head for the woods. It's April in northwest Minnesota, and the woodcock have been displaying for about a week. The dog has been sitting patiently in the truck all day. April is the best of months. Days begin with booming prairie chickens and end with painting woodcock. We get to Tamarack National Wildlife Refuge 2 hours early. A walk of several miles identifies some potential new spots to look for woodcock. Back at the truck, we meet Wayne, the refuge biologist, and determine who is going to watch which set of nets. A ruffed grouse drums to the west. We've flushed him several times and know exactly where his whitewashed log is. A t-shirt day descends into a flannel shirt night. We grab some cloth bags and a flashlight and walk 30 yards from the road. The mist nets we put up a few days ago are unfurled around the edge of a clearing. A mist net is a very fine net, approximately 8 feet tall and 36 feet long. 5 lines run the length of the net, and the netting hangs loosely on these, forming pockets. A bird will fly into the net, fall into a pocket, and become tangled. My canine assistant and I tuck into the hazel and wait. The sky above turns to cobalt, the western horizon flares red. Ducks wing their way over the treetops. In this light, at that height and through tree branches, silhouettes are hard to identify. But the distinctive whistle of wings betrays each group's identity. There are few things in nature that are predictable. But the male woodcock is a particular fellow and requires just the right light for maximum effect. As such, most nights the first peent is predictable to within seconds. The peent is a harsh sound, somewhat grating, not exactly musical, and yet it's my favorite woodland sound. The woods are quiet and his arrival is stealthy. Then there is that first peent, followed by another and another. Without warning, he will spiral upward into the night sky. Silhouetted against a dark sky, the bird darts in front of a background of shadowy branches. While the eyes struggle to follow, ears track easily. The bird's outer 3 primary feathers, the long feathers on the wing, are narrower than normal and vibrate in the air, creating a trilling sound. This is why the woodcock prefers clearings in the forest. In a mature forest, branches would obscure his display flight and muffle his sound. And the goal of all this effort is, of course, to be noticed, specifically by any admiring ladies in the area. The twisting, twittering flight is following by a plummet earthward. Upon landing, he will hold his wings over his head and stomp around in a small area, painting several times before again taking to the air. Flights and twitters, stomps and paints, over and over. Wham! A bird hits the net, causing net, poles, and guy lines to vibrate. We jump up, run across the opening, and grab her. Next comes the fun part, untangling a bird from fine black filaments in the woods at night. She wasn't in there long enough to become too tangled, and she comes out in seconds. She goes head first into a small cloth bag. I yell to Wayne. We meet back at our trucks. We take some measurements and debate whether this is a large male or small female, eventually concluding the former. I leave Wayne to finish banding and measuring, while I go back to monitor both his nets and mine. There is nothing in his nets, so we head back to mine. Since I just checked these nets a couple minutes ago, I start to settle into the hazel, wanting to disturb the area as little as possible. My furry assistant continues when I stop, trotting across the clearing, and stands dead still with his nose an inch from the net. It's a good thing someone is paying attention. No birds for 3 nights, and now 2 in a matter of minutes. She has been in the net long enough to become quite tangled. This is the most demanding part of the operation, trying to work quickly and efficiently without harming or stressing the bird. She has flown in head first, so the trick is to back her out tail first. Hold her by the body and work her legs free. Then hold the legs pinched between 2 fingers, as close to her body as possible, making a fist around her feet. Starting at the tail, work the netting from under the body feathers and around the wings. Next, gently ease the last loops of netting from around her neck by gently pulling them over the top of the head, and she's free. She goes into a bag and back to the truck. At the truck, I pull her out of the bag, 2 fingers along the side of the neck, with the rest of the hand wrapped around her body. In this position, she can't flap her wings or hurt herself. We place a numbered aluminum band on her leg. We measure bill length, length of wing, width of her outer primary feather, and weigh her. Using Greg Hoch's booklet, A Woodcock in the Hand, We'll use these measurements to confirm she's a female. Greg Hoch was the biologist at Moosehorn National Wildlife Refuge in Maine, one of the most intensive woodcock research sites in the country. His extensively researched book is invaluable to biologists. Normally, she's free after a leg band, but this lady gets a small radio placed on her back. Wayne and an intern will use the radio to track her and her brood after the eggs have hatched. When they find the brood, each chick will get a band, and one chick will get a very small radio. The biologists will use radio telemetry to study the habitat requirements of young birds, an area of wildlife management that is poorly studied in many species, including woodcock. Fast forward 3 weeks. On the calendar, it's early May. In the bird world, the first woodcock eggs are hatching. I meet Donna and her small Munsterlander Annie at the refuge. We're parked at the northeast corner of a patch of habitat where nests and fledglings are found almost every year. We know this area well. There are 3 goals for the day. First, find a female on her nest and discreetly mark the nest with a small piece of flagging on a nearby tree, but far enough away not to attract predators. Second, check some nests our friend Earl and his setters found a few days ago. Third, and the real target of the search, is to find and band broods of newly hatched woodcock. Within 15 minutes, Annie is locked on point. We creep up on either side of her with a large fishing net. Ideally, we'll put the net over the hen and her brood, capturing them all. Today, the hen flushes before the net is over her. Camouflaged in the oak's leaves, the chicks are all but invisible, 4 dirty cotton balls with toothpick beaks. We quickly gather them into a mesh bag. We measure the beak to determine how many days since they hatched. Sepic's book again. Length in millimeters -14 divided by 2 gives the age in days for young woodcock. We weigh each one and place an aluminum band on one leg. We have enough radios on birds, so we'll let these guys go with just get a band. Donna gathers up her equipment, places the chicks on the ground close together, and walks off quickly. Mum will return as soon as we're gone. I head in the opposite direction, wanting to check on a nest Earl's setters found a couple days ago near here. Staying 8 or 10 feet away from the nest, I scan the ground. The hen's mottled brown feathers are indistinguishable from the sticks, leaves, and dirt. I know exactly where she is, but it still takes couple scans back and forth before that enormous, shiny obsidian eye appears, and instantly the rest of her becomes visible. We'll keep monitoring her every 2 to 3 days until her eggs hatch. Then we'll bring in the dogs and try to find her brood. It's starting to get a little warm for us, especially for a heavily panting Annie. We head back to the trucks. This is by far the best off-season work a dog and dog lover can get. Banding season doubles the days dog and hunter can spend in the woods. A perfect day would be banded birds, a bag full of morels, and a shed antler. But even a bad day in the woods is better than a good day in the office, and a good day chasing woodcock can't be beat. It's amazing that there are jobs that allow us to chase woodcock around the forest and call it work. Republished with permission from Sunset Dancers by Greg Hoch, 2012. The Upland Almanac, Spring 2012. 2012 by Greg Hoch.